In the book Manhood by Steve Biddulph, it says that men have been hardwired to have an aversion to shame. And it goes on to say this is because throughout history, women are sexually attracted to high status men. So if a man experiences shame, he can then believe that he is less than, his status is lower than other men. And if it is lower than other men, it is going to prevent him from attracting the kind of mate he desires, and therefore from passing on his genes. So it makes sense from that point of view as to why a man or men in general would have such an aversion to shame. But if this is put to one side, when a man experiences shame, he is going to feel as though he is less than and basically worthless. So less than others and a worthless human being. And the kind of shame I'm talking about here is toxic shame. So not the experience of shame that comes and goes. So if a man has done something wrong, obviously he can feel guilty and then bad. And through taking the right steps, through making amends, this can disappear, can be relieved. But when it comes down to toxic shame, this is not so much a feeling as it is an experience that will stay with the man. And so if a man does feel as though he is less than other people, other men, and that he is worthless, he can believe that he will end up being ostracized by his fellow human beings. And when a man feels this way, it can be natural for him to feel depressed, suicidal, and because of how he feels and how he sees himself, it can stop him from reaching out for external support. And so he can then suffer in silence and not reach out for the assistance that he needs. And even the people in his life, his friends, his family, his partner, if he has one, can be oblivious to what is going on. And so while he may not take his life, he can lead a miserable existence. But although this is what can happen, another thing that can happen is that a man can end up disconnecting from his shame and from his feelings in general. And when this takes place, he can be extremely successful, come across as very confident, and he can need an endless amount of positive feedback to basically keep his true feelings at bay. And another thing that can take place is that a man can have a layer of rage within him that can allow him to disconnect from his shame. Because if he experiences this toxic shame, he can feel drained of energy and have no confidence, no power. He can basically collapse within himself. But through experiencing rage, he can feel powerful and full of energy. So with that said, it is there not a surprise as to why so many men suffer in silence? Obviously, there is the fact that culturally it's more acceptable and normal for women to speak about how they feel, and a man and men in general can feel the need to cover it up. But with that aside, through a man having the need or this aversion to shame, is there not a surprise that so many men are taking their lives and are suffering in silence and are not reaching out because of this shame? So what I will say now as a man to my fellow men in the world, if you are experiencing a lot of shame and are in a bad way, reach out. There are people out there that can assist you, whether it's a coach or a healer or a therapist. I offer free 15-minute consultations in addition to the consultations that I offer. So reach out to someone, whether it's me or someone else. But please don't suffer in silence, because you don't deserve to experience life in this way. You deserve to live a good life, and more importantly, to feel good about yourself. So please reach out.